LSU Sports, LSU Athletic Director Scott Woodward held a media teleconference on Monday afternoon to provide updates on how the university and athletic department are dealing with the COVID-19 pandemic. Here is Scott Woodward yesterday opening up that conference call.
Going to be the focus going forward is, what we do for our fall sports, because obviously the championships for our spring sports are concluded. So it is going to be how do we get up and prepare for our fall sports, and that is in flux, and that is being discussed both at the NCAA and the SEC level.
Yeah, I think it's kind of impossible to have a real timeline view of things, but some of the timelines that you read about or hear about, Jordy, definitely make it seem like who knows what the situation will be come around fall, and I cannot imagine anything more disappointing. Like I've held on to my sanity. All these sports getting canceled, it's bummed me out, but that's not like my baby. That's not like college football or the NFL, and so I hope that in a couple of months we aren't talking about those seasons being potentially impacted.
Woodward answered a lot of questions yesterday. In fact, in also answering questions about tickets and what will work with the season tickets.
I can assure you that we're going to be fair in how we treat our fans as far as ticket refunds go. That's being formulated and that's coming forward. We're gonna do so, but just bear with us is what I want to tell the public as far as timing goes, because a lot of things are being interrupted right now, and there's a lot of people doing a lot of different things. But for the seasons that have been canceled, we will refund your ticket.
Also, LSU Athletic Director Scott Woodward announced Monday that the SEC baseball tournament will be formally canceled today. Herb Vincent of the SEC office will join us tomorrow here on Off the Bench. New Orleans Saints news. David Onyemata has signed and agreed to a 3-year deal worth $27 million that'll keep the defensive tackle in South Louisiana. The Saints are finalizing a deal with long snapper Zach Wood that is expected to be worth just under $5 million over the next 4 years, with $1.3 million of that guaranteed. A.J. Klein, former Saints linebacker who started 44 games in New Orleans over the past 3 seasons, agreed to a 3-year deal with Buffalo.
Yeah, so how about David Onyemata? I maybe only remember this story so closely because I was covering it in New Orleans at the time, but if you don't know, this is a cat, Jordy, born in Nigeria. 10 years ago, he would have been living in Nigeria. He had never heard of American football. He came to Canada. He played football for, I think, 2 years at Manitoba. Then he gets drafted as a 4th-round project. He just signed for $27 million. Congratulations. Look, there's a hell of a lot of natural ability there, but that's a lot of hard work as well. Congratulations to David Onyemata. That's an incredible story.
A flurry of NFL news on Monday. NFL Commissioner Roger Goodell announced new plans for the NFL Draft on April 23rd through the 25th. It'll no longer include public events in Vegas due to the coronavirus.
And I saw a tweet from Justin Jefferson where he was just saying, "Man, now y'all taking the draft from me too," and it did kind of just call into focus something that we haven't talked about a ton. I know it's been talked about, but a lot of these guys who are looking to get drafted, they missed some really good opportunities. It goes back to the Joe Burrow story that we had in the document we never quite got to. Like, with no pro day, some of these guys didn't have a chance to move up or maybe solidify themselves as a first-round pick. And now, your once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to go to the draft and actually be there and be a part of it all is also taken off the table. So just more Corona cancels.
NFL free agency opened on Monday. It actually opens on Wednesday, but terms were met. I don't understand this.
I never understand. No, I think this is technically called the legal tampering period, maybe.
Okay.
But I don't understand why it's not basically just open today, because the news is fast and hot.
The biggest news of Monday to come out of the NFL was that the Houston Texans and Arizona Cardinals made a blockbuster trade with wide receiver DeAndre Hopkins, a number 1 wide receiver in the league, headed to Arizona for a used-up running back in David Johnson. I mean, it seems like his best football is behind him, right?
I mean, well, we could talk about this trade more. I don't fully understand this, because at one point it's okay. I figure you're going to have to pay DeAndre Hopkins probably after the season, and maybe they know that they don't want to do that long term. Maybe there's issues as far as just I don't know if there's issues like if he wanted out of Houston, But I thought maybe, okay, they don't want to pay him because they don't want to pay a wide receiver. And even though it seems to have worked out for Mike Thomas and the Saints, it still makes a lot of sense. But the other position that you don't really build through anymore nowadays is running back.
Yeah.
And it seems like in the modern NFL, going from wide receiver to running back, but, kind of moving your strengths there doesn't make a whole lot of sense outside looking in. So we'll try to parse through this and how exactly this came about.
Dak Prescott's getting the franchise tag from Dallas, while Amari Cooper has agreed to a 5-year deal worth $100 million, according to Adam Schefter. Gail Benson, New Orleans Saints and Pelicans owner, Miss Benson made a personal donation of $1 million to create the Gail Benson Community Assistance Fund in the wake of the coronavirus outbreak. Both teams announced that on Monday. Benson will establish an arena assistance fund for those impacted by the postponement of NBA games in coordination with the Louisiana Exposition District and ASM New Orleans, according to the statement from the Pelicans. He took that bad press that we talked about yesterday and turned it around.
And if you listen back to the conversation, what we said at the time was like, hopefully they're working through some sort of like plan that just has some legal red tape they got to get through. But at the time, it felt like that statement was a bad look. Well, we should eat crow and rescind our opinions because, as she always does, Miss Benson comes through once again.
I think she was just listening to our show.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. No, I mean, it sounds like when they start mentioning these other groups, it does sound like there was a lot of legal red tape they had to wade through. But we knew she was going to come through in the end. We never doubted it for a second. Thank you, Miss B. You are one of the best owners of sports, and she's helping out her city once again.